All right, so what's up, Teds? This is John, and this is the Curtains for You podcast. Today is Sunday, June 20th. I will start by wishing all the fathers out there a happy Father's Day. This episode is for my dad. This is going to be a preview of the Chicago Bears 2021-2022 season. I'm going to talk about some other things in the NFL that I think are interesting that are going on right now. But we're going to be mostly focused on the Chicago Bears for this episode. Just warning some of the Teds out there now. Probably not going to be too much music talk on this one, but we'll see how that goes, and we'll see where we end up. So anyway. Let's start just in general. The 2021 Chicago Bears. I think the first place that you have to start is Mitchell Trubisky no longer being in the building, and we got Justin Fields, aka Soldier Fields, coming in the first round. And I'll be honest, in all my time as a Bears fan, I don't think that we've ever come close to drafting a quarterback with the pedigree that Justin Fields has. For those of you who don't really know much about the Chicago Bears but do enjoy football or are going to be listening to this, Jay Cutler holds the majority of our passing records along with Sid Luckman. Sid Luckman was a quarterback for the Bears very, very early on, 50s and 60s. So, the Bears' quarterback leaders are Jay Cutler and a guy from the 50s in terms of who holds the stat records for the team. That's unheard of. Especially frustrating, too, when you take a look at the Green Bay Packers, who have now had, 20 years of excellent quarterback play between Brett Favre and then, the transition to Aaron Rodgers. I will say one thing about the Aaron Rodgers rumors in terms of him wanting to leave Green Bay. I am all for it. I am all for an NFC North with no Aaron Rodgers. That would be very exciting to me. Next thing I want to touch on besides Justin Fields, I want to go over the draft, the Bears draft a little bit, give you an idea of who they drafted, where I think they're going to be playing, and some other important starters for the team. First off, besides Justin Fields draft in the first round, we picked up left tackle Tevin Jenkins. I don't know if you've taken, I'm guessing you haven't taken a look at his scouting report, but Tevin Jenkins got a first-round grade as a left tackle. He has a real nasty streak to him, and Ryan Pace, made it a point to say that he wanted the Bears to be tougher, a tougher team, an angrier team, a meaner team in the trenches, on the offensive and defensive line, and Tevin Jenkins fits that basically to a T. Larry Borum, another pick that I really, really like. I think that he will probably be our backup right tackle to start the season, but I would not at all be surprised, especially, with some of his just really impressive physical attributes. I would be surprised if he does not see the field this year. Some of the other players that I think are worth talking about are, first of all, the Bears signed Desmond Trufant to play alongside our second round pick last year, Jalen Johnson, who's a cornerback, and so that's going to be our cornerback pairing. It looks like it's going to be Desmond Trufant and Jalen Johnson. We lost Kyle Fuller to Denver in free agency. I think Kyle Fuller is underrated. I know he was voted to an All-Pro either last year or 2 years. I believe it was 2 years ago. But he is a really heady cornerback. He's great. He's great at reading the ball. He's great at picking the ball off. And he was great at being at the right position at the right time. Another thing that I think is important is, alongside, we got Khalil Mack blitzing off the edge, and then his partner, who's going to be blitzing off the end, is going to be Robert Quinn. And Robert Quinn last year was unimpressive, to say the least. I would expect that some of the rookies that we've brought in, as well as some of the players that we picked last year and the year before, are probably going to get some playing time. I think Robert Quinn's going to be on a really short leash because, frankly, he was not impressive last year, and I don't think Coach Nagy is going to have a very long leash for him. Looking at some of the players, this is also interesting. Because of COVID last year, you had a lot of players that opted out. And so we have a lot of those players coming back. One of the most important is definitely Eddie Goldman, our nose tackle. That will be a huge addition if he decides to come back this year. That said, Bilal Nichols played in his place last year and played really, really well. So I think it's important that we keep him in the rotation. I hope that they sign him, because he's someone that's worth signing. And you want that talent on the defensive line. We got Akeem Hicks, but he's getting old. We got Mario Edwards Jr., who I believe is 27 now, who's really come into his own. The Bears have done a great job coaching him up. And then we got Danny Trevathan and Roquan Smith in the middle. Danny Trevathan is old, and I'm worried that he's going to fall off. I am hoping that he can play well for us for at least one more year. And then also Roquan Smith, our other inside linebacker, I would say is the best inside linebacker besides Devin Smith in Tampa. Roquan Smith had, in my opinion, an All-Pro year last year. Didn't get the recognition he deserved. I think you'll definitely see that this year because the dude is a baller. Some other things to touch on. Darnell Mooney coming into his second season. Wide receiver, played really, really well last year and was, a sort of deep threat that has a different skill set than Allen Robinson. Allen Robinson, to me, is one of the best receivers in the league, and I think Darnell Mooney does a great job in sort of complementing his game. And along with that is Cole Kmet, the tight end that we drafted last year. From the looks of minicamp and some of the mandatory OTAs, I've read nothing but good things from the Chicago beat writers. Props to Hogan Johns out there in Chicago, who do a great job covering the Bears. Awesome podcast. But they'll tell you they were there, and Cole Kmet was catching everything coming his way. I'm interested to see how the offensive line comes together. Like I said, we got Tevin Jenkins, who's going to be starting at probably left tackle as a rookie. I'm excited to see what happens with David Montgomery. I also think Damian Williams was a really good pickup from Kansas City as a free agent. I think he can really contribute along with Tariq Cohen, who hopefully comes back from injury and is as fast and as quick and explosive as he's been. Luckily, the Bears this year do not have a kicking issue. We signed Cairo Santos to a long deal. He played really well for us last year, so I'm feeling good, about the kicker position, which has been stressful for Chicago for some time. Another thing that I wanted to touch on was Sean Desai taking over the defense. I think Chuck Pagano did the best that he could running the scheme that he knows how while trying to incorporate what Vic Fangio had left over. But Sean Desai is a disciple of Vic Fangio. And I think that he will be the person that's going to bring this defense back to the form it was in 2018. I also would just like to state on record, I think Andy Dalton is going to have a very short leash at quarterback. I think right now the team is just trying to save face and say Andy Dalton is our starter, because when they signed him, they weren't sure they were going to be able to get Justin Fields, and I think they told him, hey, we want you to start. So I think until Justin Fields outplays him in training camp, which I think is very likely, I think we'll keep hearing that kind of nonsense until Justin Fields proves that he's obviously the one that should be on the field. There's no question that he's more talented. So it's just a matter of his ability to learn the offense as well as read the opposing defense, because that was something that Mitchell Trubisky could not do, along with throwing a ball further than 25 yards with any accuracy. And I will say that Justin Fields definitely does not have that problem. In terms of the Bears, that's sort of kind of where I sit with the roster. I wanted to take a look at the schedule and kind of give you my thoughts on how I think the games are going to end up. So week 1 is against the LA Rams on Sunday Night Football. And this game is at Los Angeles. I have a feeling that Andy Dalton may start this game, and that they may put Justin Fields in maybe week 2, week 3, week 4, but I think it's going to be early that we see Justin Fields on the field. Either way, if Andy Dalton is starting this game against the Rams in LA, I think that's probably a loss. I think Matthew Stafford's going to be a good addition to that team, and that defense is really, really strong. So I'm putting the Bears at 0-1 after week 1. Week 2, we have the Cincinnati Bengals. Joe Burrow will be back from his injury. I still don't think that this team is particularly strong. The Bengals, that is. So I have the Bears winning this game in week 2 to put us at 1-1. Week 3 with the at the Cleveland Browns. This was a tough game for me to pick. I think Baker Mayfield may bounce back this year. I know some people have questioned his ability to really be a starting quarterback in this league, a franchise quarterback, and I think he will be. I think that if we see Justin Fields here at week 3 against Cleveland, that the Bears win this game. I think that if we have Andy Dalton still, that we're probably in big trouble. With Myles Garrett there, and I know they've added some free agents, that pass rush is going to be pretty strong, and I don't see Andy Dalton really being able to avoid the pressure in the pocket the way Justin Fields would be able to. So I have the Bears winning this game at the Cleveland at Cleveland Browns, assuming Justin Fields is now on the field and starting for the Bears. Week 4 against the Lions, they have a new coach. They have Jared Goff. Jared Goff to me is someone who, frankly, isn't really all that good, and the Bears defense has had a lot of success at shutting him down. And frankly, we've been really pretty good against the Lions. I don't think Matt Nagy's lost a game against the Lions. I could be wrong on that, but I don't believe he has. So I have us winning that game. That puts us at 3-1.